I'm Greg Walker. There's a sickness that afflicts most businesses, a sickness that keeps companies and people from achieving their highest potential. We call this sickness ready, fire, aim. This syndrome is what happens when people lose sight of the strategic plan, or when there is no strategic plan in the first place. People go off in 100 different directions, pursuing 100 different targets, using 100 different weapons. And at the end of the day, they check to see whether or not they hit anything. That's really no way to run a business. And yet, that's the experience too many direct reports tell us about. Some entrepreneurs actually get hooked on the adrenaline of ready, fire, aim. And some direct reports do too. But when they do, they degrade alignment and they don't help the business. Now, there is an antidote for ready, fire, aim syndrome, and it's proven to work. It's called the Strategic Direction Initiative, but it comes with a catch. If you are serious about taking this antidote, then you need to be willing to step back and figure out what you're aiming at before you pull the trigger. Now, some people are initially a little resistant to the antidote that we're going to share with you this month. You know why? They're so darn used to pulling the trigger. And it's almost like they're stuck in some kind of 1980s video game where all you can do is pound on the trigger and shoot away at the monsters. But the reality is that there's a lot more to success than just hitting the same key over and over and over again. You're going to hear a lot about that phrase, Strategic Direction Initiative, this month. I realize it may be one you've never heard before. So, what is the Strategic Direction Initiative? Good question, and tough to answer. Why? Well, this is one of those ideas that only makes sense if you take a little time to learn the ideas that led up to it. And you know what? That's actually a good thing. Because sometimes we're so used to mashing everything together into a single step, fire, that it's good to stop. Take a look at the controller and ask ourselves, hey, how many different buttons on this thing are there? So let's start looking at the steps that lead up to the Strategic Direction Initiative. And by the time we get to the end, you'll be clear on what it really is. Let's begin with a simple concept, the company goal. This is something that your key decision maker wants the company to achieve. For instance, launch the new XYZ product successfully within the next 90 days. So theoretically, if you and your key decision maker agree on that goal, and you are both equally committed to it, you are in alignment. But there's a challenge. Not every goal that the company could pursue is one that the company should pursue. In fact, we run into a lot of entrepreneurs who haven't yet learned to make that distinction. They come across a cool idea, and they grab the video console and start shooting. Ready, fire, aim. That's our most important goal. Then another cool idea comes along, and they repeat the same process. And forget about the other goal that was supposedly the most important. We've encountered many, many entrepreneurs who had to learn to change the repetitive ready, fire, aim pattern. One firm in particular spent years at the same revenue levels, bouncing from one thing to the next, until deciding to work with us on their alignment to break this habit. As a result, their revenues increased. Their staff support increased, leading to their being consistently ranked in the top 10 in their industry segment year after year after year. So let's look next at something that will help to put all our possible goals and our actual goals in context. To get out of ready, fire, aim, we have to ask ourselves, Does this company goal satisfy a critical success factor? Okay, what's that? A critical success factor can be identified as one of those very few things that has to happen and has to go well for an organization to fulfill the company vision. Now, of course, the challenge here is a pretty obvious one. If the team doesn't know what the company vision is, then there's really no way that anyone can identify the critical success factor. That's quite common. But you know what? You can help to change that. We've run across many entrepreneurs who needed help identifying their company vision and reinforcing it throughout the company. One particular key decision maker identified their company vision and critical success factors with the help of not just one direct report, but many. This particular company owner formed a planning team with the express purpose of getting the vision right and then propagating it throughout the organization. They worked as well on the critical success factors that would be involved in achieving that vision. As a result, this company became the leading supplier in their industry, and everyone was on the same page, working with alignment. Now, the reason your team needs to identify its one most important critical success factor, which we call the driving critical success factor, is pretty simple. If you don't know what the driving critical success factor is, then it's going to be hard to choose and prioritize company goals. And if all the goals are equally important, then you're all back to smashing the fire button on the video console, shooting at anything that moves. Once we know what the right company goal is, we need to set the strategies for attaining that company goal. The strategies are not the tactics, which are the detailed, granular action steps that go into project plans. Instead, the strategies are the large-scale battle plans that are designed to achieve the major goal. Now, a lot of people get confused about the difference between strategies and tactics. But in order to get crystal clear about what a strategic direction initiative is, you have to be crystal clear about what strategy is. There's definitely a difference between a goal and a strategy. A goal is specific, it's measurable, and it includes a timeline for its accomplishment. A strategy, on the other hand, is best expressed conceptually. The strategy shows what has to happen for the goal to be achieved without getting into the nitty-gritty of when it will be accomplished or by whom. By having this different perspective between goals and strategies, true movement takes place. Better plans are developed, and their execution is simplified. Now, finally, we're ready to answer the question, what is a strategic direction initiative? It's a company goal which satisfies a critical success factor, plus the strategies necessary to achieve that company goal. There may be multiple strategic direction initiatives because there may be more than one company goal. But it's a good idea to start small and focus on one at a time, especially if yours is a smaller company. Now that you know the basics, you're ready to make ready, fire, aim a thing of the past and help others to learn to lay off the fire button, at least until you've got the right target in sight. Let's get started. I'll see you next month. And remember, alignment is a way of life.